Another day, another learning. Welcome to our second part of our event and welcome to Barangay EF38. As we continue to spread learning to everyone, let us continue our agenda for today, which is the models of curriculum evaluation symposium. Way back, we have our beloved speakers and guests, and they talk about a lot of learning, which is dapat po ang naka-learn as well. So today, allow me to introduce our new speakers and guests. May I call on Ma'am Charisse La Luna, the Principal 1 of District 1. Ma'am Mirna Sarugam, the Principal 2 of District 2. Ma'am Sunshine Tabar, the Principal 3 of District 3. Ma'am Angel Abraica, the Principal 4 of District 4. And lastly, Ma'am Alison Sabina, the Principal 4 of 5 of So, mga wakas yung kayo nila, no? And now, as we begin, may I call on Ma'am Charisse La Luna, the Principal 1 of District 1, to start and begin her talk. So, Ma'am?
Okay, maayong punta, Barangay EF38. Maayong punta na inyo, ma'am. Welcome na. O karon ana punta para sa pag-adugang mga leksyon para sa kanina topic. So, as educators or administrators and policymakers, we are constantly striving to improve our educational systems to meet the evolving needs of learners, society, and the evaluation of curricula. A systematic process of determining whether our educational programs are achieving their goals, identifying areas for improvement, and ensuring they align the expectation of stakeholders. So today, we will explore some of the most widely recognized models of curriculum evaluation, frameworks that provide structured and evidence-based approaches to assessing and refining curricula. These models not only guide us in collecting and analyzing data, but also in making informed decisions about whether to maintain, modify, or replace existing educational programs. So now let's start the first model, which is the context input process product model. So this approach will apply to education, aims to determine if a particular education effort has resulted in a positive change in a school, college, university, training, or organization. So solely this model focuses on determining whether a specific educational initiative has resulted in positive change within an educational setting, such as school, college, or training organization. It emphasizes evaluating programs to support decision-making and improving educational efforts. So, nasa yung mga steps how to effectively evaluate in the CIPP model. So, ma'am, kung saan ang first? So, let's tackle what is the first step. First is delineate. So, what do you mean by delineate? So, this step is, first is what is to be evaluated and determine what information that has to be collected. So, this step involves defining what needs to be evaluated and identifying the specific information required. So, for example, evaluating whether a new science program enhances the critical thinking abilities of students, or the process, this process helps clarify goals and ensures that evaluation is focused and systematic. So, muna siya first step. And now, let's dive in kung saan ang second step. Second step is obtain or collect the information using selected techniques and methods. So, Ma'am Charisse, kung saan na siya about? So, obtain means collecting data using appropriate methods and tools such as interviews, surveys, test scores, observation techniques. So, naman mag-need tayo sa, so nga naman sa CIPP support stakeholders in deciding whether to maintain, modify, or discontinue the curriculum or program. So, and the last step is honorable tulo na di ay. So, my plus one si ma'am, wala di ay, tulo na di ay. So, let's answer the first. First step is to eliminate, second is to obey, and third is to provide. So, the integration of the CIPP model, informative evaluation, this will conduct during the program to refine and improve it, context, input, and process stages. The summative evaluation, it will be conducted after implementation to determine overall effectiveness. So, CIPP model means context, input, and process. So, klaro na ba ang tanan about sa CIPP model? So many ang significance, ma'am. So, the significance of the CIPP model is a dynamic approach emphasizing evaluation as a tool for improvement and accountability. So, by addressing the needs of decision makers, it ensures that educational programs are aligned with their intended outcomes and can be adapted based on evidence. So, this framework is widely recognized because of its comprehensive nature, covering all aspects of program development and implementation. So, it is particularly effective in educational settings where continuous improvement and accountability are paramount. And now, let's delve in, or let's dive data sa upat ka purpose or sa upat ka puan sa CIPP model, and that will be tackled and be discussed by our next speaker, which is
wow, that was a very good start, and that was exactly from Ma'am Charisse. So now let me call on, or let me introduce Ma'am Mirna Sabuka for the type of evaluation. A round of applause, please.
Thank you so much for lovely evaluation. So the four types of evaluation, first is the context evaluation. So the context evaluation assesses the environment and identifies unmet needs. So what is the purpose of context evaluation? The purpose of context evaluation is to identify the environment needs and problems that our program or curriculum aims to address. So that is the purpose of our context evaluation. And what is the focus of our context evaluation? The focus of our context evaluation examines the external and internal factors influencing the initiatives, such as demographics, organizational priorities, or stakeholder expectation. So, for example, a school assesses the academic needs of students in a community to tailor its curriculum. Okay, for example, for the context evaluation, a school assesses the academic needs of students in a community to tailor its curriculum. So that is the context evaluation. Now let's have the input evaluation. is to provide ongoing feedback during the implementation. So this is where they have the feedbacking during the implementation. The purpose of process evaluation is to monitor the implementation of the program to ensure it aligns with the planned approach and provide feedback for adjustments. Our focus with process evaluation is to track how activities are being conducted, identify challenges, and ensure
Okay, so also known rubric continence model, also known as the responsive evaluation model. This is a widely recognized framework for program evaluation proposed in 1967. It emphasizes the importance of detailed descriptions and informed judgment in assessing the effectiveness of programs and intervention. This model also offers a structured approach to evaluation, dividing the process into 3 distinct phases. The first one is the antecedent, the second is the transaction, and the third is the outcome. So first, the first phase is the antecedent phase, also known as the setting the stage. Conditions prior to instruction. Okay, so the antecedent phase focuses on the conditions and circumstances that reside in implementations of program or intervention. This also involves identifying the program's goals and objectives. No? Very kini nga phase nag-identify siya sa programs o sa goals kung usay mo ka ng goals and objectives sa program. And then the second is the second phase is the transaction phase. The instructional process. The transaction phase also known as the observing the process. The transaction phase centers on the actual implementation of the program and focuses on documenting the program's activity and interactions. This involves okay, so transaction phase observing the process. It is the implementations of the program and focuses on documenting the program's activities and interaction. This also involves observing how the program is delivered. Dili mag-observe kung giusa pag-deliver ang program, no? It also the recording the participants' experiences and gathering data on the program process. So dili makakuan ta kung giusa pag-deliver, dili sa nagpakita kung dili sa ta mag-gather ng data during sa program processes. The third one is the outcome phase. Outcome phase or the measuring the result. Okay, the outcome phase focuses on evaluating the program's impact and assessing whether it achieved its intended goals. So, dali na makita kung na-achieve ba ang atong intended goals anak nga program. This phase involves also collecting data on the program's outcomes. This may include measuring changes in participants' knowledge, skills, or attitudes, or assessing the program's effects on organizational performance or community well-being. So, dili ang outcome, kung usay outcome sa itong program, kung usay ka ng pag-humag sa program, usag na-achieve ba nga ang goals, no? Dili na ito makita kung na-kuan ba na nahatag ba ito ang goals sa pag-discuss sa program.
Yes.
And then, that will be all. It will be the my stage. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Sunshine Tabar, the principal of District 3. So now, to wrap up, I call on Ma'am Angel Ray Abraica, the principal of District 4, to discuss about the Eastern Connoisseurship model. A round of applause, please.
So, maayong adlaw karating ba na? So, I will be going to tackle about Eisner's connoisseurship model. So, what is Elliott Eisner's connoisseurship model? So, it emphasizes a qualitative approach to educational evaluation, contrasting sharply with traditional quantitative methods that often reduce learning to isolated objectives. So, this model is rooted in Eisner's background in aesthetic and art education. So, paano siya? Mostly arts enthusiast. So, advocating for a deeper understanding of educational experience experiences through the aims of connoisseurship and criticism. So, the key concept of Eisner's connoisseurship model. First is Elliot Eisner argues for a qualitative approach to evaluation. So first, what is connoisseurship? So it is described as the art of appreciation. So it involves recognizing and valuing the nuances of educational experiences, much like an art expert. So kanina nga akong isulti about yun siya sa art. Nga kung unsa ninyong pagkahibalo o unsa inyong nakatunan sa art. So they scale various elements of a work of art. Skills required to appreciate the significance of different aspects of classroom life. It encourages a holistic view of education, integrating various dimensions of learning experiences rather than viewing them in isolation. So, next. Engage in observational and qualitative data collection, interviews, and recording. So, critic of quantitative measures, Eisner critiques quantitative evaluation methods for their tendency to fragment learning into discrete objectives. So, he argues that such approaches fail to capture the richness and complexity inherent in educational experiences. Instead, he advocates for evaluators to embrace qualitative methods that reflect the dynamic nature of learning environment. So last is focuses on the complexity of learning experiences, advocating for evaluators to capture the richness of classroom events. So, the importance of qualitativeness evaluations of Eisner's model underscores the significance of qualitative evaluation in education. So, by encouraging a comprehensive view that encompasses diverse teaching methodologies, so allowing for alternative measurement strategies that recognize the multifaceted nature of learning. Next, promoting student participation in the evaluation. So, teachers, di ba last, sa itong pag-stuya sa una, tinatinin ka lang ang ating mga teachers sa una is evaluate sila, ba? Yes! Principal sa likod. So, saan sila pag-evaluate, right?
Yes! Familiar.
So, promoting student participation in the evaluation process, thereby enriching the educational experience. So, sa tanan, Eisner's connoisseurship model represents a shift towards qualitativeness evaluation in education. By focusing on appreciation and critical analysis, it seeks to provide a more nuanced understanding of teaching and learning processes. So this model not only enriches evaluative practices but also aligns with contemporary educational philosophies that value complexity, other simplicity in assessing educational outcomes. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Angel May Branica. And now, as we continue to this connoisseurship model, may I call on the last, but not least, the principal of District 5, Ma'am Alison Tabanao.
So today I'm going to discuss you the Eisner evaluator's role in Eisner's model. So first is describe and classroom dynamics and experiences. So evaluators are encouraged to closely observe classroom activities and interactions. So their goal is to provide detailed interpretative narratives that capture the essence of teaching and learning. So this involves analyzing how students engage, express themselves, and make meaning from their experiences. Next is engage in observational and qualitative data collection. So qualitative data collection methods such as interviews, classroom ensure the quality and effectiveness of educational programs. So these models such as the CIPP model by Daniel Stufflebean provide structured approaches to evaluating the goals, resources, implementations, and outcomes of curricula. Each model offers unique strengths and perspectives emphasizing systematic data collection, informed decision-making, and continuous improvement. So by using these models, educators and stakeholders can identify what works, address challenges, and align programs with the needs of learners and society. So ultimately, the purpose of curriculum evaluation is not merely to judge a program success, but to enhance it, as well as evaluated curriculum promotes meaningful learning experiences, fosters innovation, and supports the achievement of educational objectives. So, as educators, it is our commitment to as educators, our commitment to effective evaluation ensure that we are continuously improving and preparing learners for the challenges of the future. So, let us remember that evaluation is not the end of a process. It is a tool for transformation and growth. So, that will be all. Thank you.
Very good.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma'am Charisse Luna, our Principal 1 of District 1. A round of applause again, please. Before we finally end our event, our program today, may I call on the Dean of College of Education, Dr. Donald Faith Binondo. Thank you very much, Billy and Marcellus. So as we conclude the 2024 Models of Curriculum Evaluation Symposium, I want to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who participated and shared their insights. Today's discussions have laid a strong foundation for the education system to meet the needs of our learners. Let's move forward to share commitment, implementing these ideas, and creating lasting change. Together, we can ensure that education remains a powerful tool for progress and development of our learners. So, once again, we pray and thank you for the participation from So thank you so much, Ma'am Anodol and Faith Binondo. So, grabe, first of all, we are very thankful that Sugod Jugono sa Among Education as our speakers and guests for today's event. So, dili ba yung dali mga akong pagpunta kanila kayo, no? Very busy gid sila, no? Kaya sa kanilaing district. So, grabe dyan ang ang kanang pasalamat sa ilahang time nga ihatag sa among mga panilang mas-spread nila ang mga learning sa tagsa-tagsa na nato. So now, let us end our event or our program today with our topic, the Curriculum Evaluation Symposium of 2024, with the theme, Enhancing Educational Quality Through Effective Curriculum Evaluation. A round of applause, please. So, opportunity, photographer. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ladder. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ladder. 1, 2, 3, waki. Mana?